Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show. Today, I'm Levi Meyer, your host, and today we have a very special guest, Danielle David from United Hatzalah of Israel. Hello, Danielle.
Hi, how are you?
Good. And so Danielle and I, we have history. I didn't realize at first. Actually, first of all, she works with my sister, or my sister works
Who's
with her.
amazing, by the way. She's wonderful.
And but our children are really close friends from when you were living in Coconut Grove. Now you
Right.
live over on the beach, which
Bay
is
Harbor.
Bay Harbor.
Islands.
But you are the development director for United Hatzalah of Israel.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about what United Hatzalah Israel, to give us a little background?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. So United Hatzalah of Israel it's a medical organization in Israel. It's comprised of over 6,000 medics, volunteer medics, paramedics, EMTs, who are emergency responders. They basically pick up everything and respond to emergencies and get there within 3 minutes and help stabilize patients before the ambulance gets there. So the founder of United Hatzalah, an incredible man by the name of Levi Meyer, he was working for an ambulance when he was 16 years old, and he realized that he was, always getting to emergencies, and it was too late. The patient had already died by the time they got there. And so he decided at 16 years old to start this organization. They were just a few volunteers, maybe 7 EMS trained volunteers at that time. And they started just responding to emergencies by foot. And they would intercept emergency calls and get there. And they were just young kids who were getting to emergencies, helping people and saving lives before the ambulance arrived.
And so you've grown from 7 to 6,000.
Exactly.
And how long ago was this? So that was when
that was about
16.
30 years ago when he was 16, and today it's about 6,000 medics. And these are women, men, and these are Jews, Arabs, Christians. It's incredibly diverse, different ethnicities, different religions, all with one mission: to save a life and that not let anyone die, because they were waiting too long.
Amazing. And and ambulances will get stuck in traffic. So how is it that they're able to respond quicker than the ambulances?
So Levi Meyer also has a TED Talk, which has been seen by over 1 million people by now. He came up with this concept of the ambucycle. So it's basically everything an ambulance has except for the bed. And it's motorcycles, and then medics are trained and have licenses, and they ride these motorcycles, and they kind of bypass the traffic and they get there really fast. So there's over 1,000 ambucycles, as he calls them, ambulance and motorcycle combined. So ambucycle, and they respond. There's over about 1,000 of them, and it's just incredible. Something he came up with.
Incredible work. I remember one year I was at an event that United Hatzalah of Israel was hosting, and I saw an image of one of these ambucycles, and it was like a light bulb popped in your head and said, like, why haven't I seen these? Why haven't I seen them anywhere else? You don't see them here in Miami. You don't see them in the U.S. And they make sense, right? Like the ambulance will take time to get there. Yes, they have sirens and lights and they can clear traffic, but not in the way that you could see a motorcycle skipping through traffic to get to where they need to go.
Exactly.
But they have with 6,000 medics and professionals. Like is there ever a scenario where people will just be on foot and be close by, or is it pretty much always with the ambulance?
Absolutely, it's mostly on foot or bicycles. We have e-bikes also. Our medics even drive ambulances. We're the only organization that has free ambulances, so we have that too, but by foot, mostly by foot. I mean, if you live in a high-rise building, oftentimes we have a Hatzalah medic in the building that can just go down the stairway, or a restaurant owner or a lawyer, a doctor. These are all professions that volunteer for free. By the way, no one is paid to do this. This is all for free, and they usually are by foot running to emergencies.
So this is volunteer work. So the majority of these 6,000 medics in Israel are doing this as voluntary work.
So all these 6,000 medics are doing it voluntarily. Among those are doctors and lawyers and restaurant owners and plumbers and all different professions, but all 6,000 of these are volunteer based.
Wow. So the organization United Hatzalah of Israel is a not-for-profit organization.
Yes.
And is it a 501c3
yes.
in the U.S.?
Yes, it is. And this is all, although our volunteers are doing this for free, we incur a lot of costs for our medical equipment, all the courses that are sponsored for these volunteers. They go through incredible 6-month training courses to become volunteers, EMS trained volunteers, and then some go on to become paramedics and to take on more courses. So all those courses are expensive. All the medical equipment, we have the best medical equipment. We have top-notch defibrillators and oxygen and everything that you need to get to emergency.
Well, they also say there's an old expression that says if it drives, flies, or floats, rent it, right? because just maintenance and expense. I mean, I have a car, I have a golf cart. It's like, it's if they're zipping around in the ambucycles, and you have a fleet of how many?
We have a fleet of over 1,000 ambucycles. And you mentioned before, a lot of people haven't seen them. And in Miami, you haven't seen one. We have one outside of Mo's Deli in Aventura. So Mo's Deli is incredible. Deli, highly recommend it. Yeah, it's the best.
And good old New York deli.
It's the best. And the owner, the two owners, Paul and his partner Mo, but Paul Kruss is on our board. And we have an ambucycle station right outside of Mo's Deli, so that people can see it and sort of generate awareness around what this is.
Well, the first time I saw one was at an event, but yeah, if you're in the Aventura area, go swing by Mo's and check it out.
Yep.
That would be it's really exciting to see, because they take this moped and they rig it out, and it has the big sort of like saddlebags, but like they don't look like saddlebags, right? They look, it's a very impressive sort of ambulance hybrid,
right?
And so there's over 1,000 of them, and again,
there's over 1,000.
So I think when you talk about expenses, it's like there has to be an entire service department to maintain the tires, the oils. I mean, these things are not cheap to do. So
exactly, and it's helping us because Ellie Beer's vision always was that our response time is 90 seconds. Right now we're at 3 minutes, but many cities like Jerusalem, we have a 90-second response. And he came up with that number, 90 seconds, because after 2 minutes, if somebody has a heart attack and they're not getting oxygen to their brain, after 2 minutes, then you start to lose the person and they start having, long-term effects. And after 10 minutes, that's it, you're dead. Yeah. So 90 seconds was his vision always, so that somebody can not only be saved, but be saved and not have any long-term health issues. And that's amazing. So we're trying so the ambucycles help us get down to that 90 seconds response, and the increase in volunteers helps us get to that 90 seconds.
What's the total cost of an ambucycle? I mean, I'm curious to know, but generally speaking, what the budget, what the general budget is for United Hatzalah to run this grand scale operation, to manage 6,000 people, even if they're doing it voluntarily. I'm curious to know what the annual budget is, if you can share that with us. But getting a little more granular, what is the cost of say, just an ambucycle? If I wanted to sponsor an ambucycle.
So an ambucycle, if you wanted to sponsor an ambucycle, and you definitely should. So we'll talk after the show. It's $36,000 to sponsor an ambucycle. We get the best ambucycles, and that includes, the medic, the equipment, all of that. And you can pay that off over, a year, 2 years, whatever you need to. But those are incredible. One of the best parts of the ambucycle and sponsoring a medic is that you get updates on your ambucycle, so you'll know stories. You'll get to hear stories. I know you're in real estate, maybe you'll be showing a house, and then your phone will ding and you'll see a message and it'll say your ambucycle just went and saved a child that was choking this morning, and this is the medic who saved the life, and this is the story, and this is what happened. And it's just an incredible return on your investment. I mean, there's no better return on your investment than that.
Saving life.
To saving a life and knowing exactly what your ambucycle
Wow.
is doing and the work that it's doing. So it's 36,000, and in terms of fundraising, we raised about last year $30 million globally for the organization, which is, we're growing a lot. We're growing fast. We were raising a few years ago when I started, 6 years ago, we were raising about 13 million. And last year it was 30 million. And we're growing. And we don't just do medical. We started a psychotrauma unit also. So now we respond to emergencies and then have psychologists and volunteers who are part of our psychotrauma unit help treat the patients and their emotional, situation. So
and United Hatzalah does this. The service is all free of charge. So the medics are volunteer, and then we're not charged. There's no charge to the patient.
There's no charge to the patient. It's completely free. It's the only organization like this. Israel has a lot of ambulance companies, and they're all great. And United Hatzalah works with them. They complement each other. So United Hatzalah gets there, stabilizes the patient, and then the ambulance is the transfer. But the ambulance companies are not free. That's, that goes through either your insurance or there's a price on their website, and it's not free. This is the only free organization, medical organization. And not only that, we also, I think I mentioned earlier, have ambulances now that we use to transfer patients that are completely free.
Okay. So, now, are there scenarios where the ambulance is not necessary? Is United Hatzalah responding or showing up? Do people have a direct number in Israel that they call to get United Hatzalah to come out if it's a cut or a scrape or a burn that they know they may not need to go to the hospital but want to be assessed?
So they have a number, an emergency number that they call 1221. That's United Hatzalah's number, and that's the number that people call when an emergency occurs. But absolutely, many times calls are canceled because, United Hatzalah responds and everything is resolved, thank God. And so they don't need an ambulance after that point. So that's a great question.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a little? So how long have you been working with United Hatzalah? It's now 30 years. As you said.
So I'm not there for 30 years, but yes, Eli Meyer, 16 years old, he started this. It was just a few medics then, and today we're over 6,000 medics, and I've been working for them for 6 years. I'm based out of Miami, and I started 6 years ago as associate, and now I'm the development director for them in Florida. And I've just seen this organization grow and become something unbelievable. Just to give you an example, when COVID hit, and Eli Meyer got COVID in Miami, we can talk about that as well. But when COVID hit in Israel, many people couldn't leave their house, and many elderly people, Holocaust survivors, they had never had this situation where they just couldn't leave. And so our volunteers, we started a humanitarian service. So we would help people in other ways, not just medical. So our volunteers would visit people. There was a story of a Holocaust survivor who had always lit candles for her whole life, for Shabbat, for the holidays. And now she didn't have any candles to light. And she called United Hatzalah. And the person who came, and a volunteer bought candles for her, came and delivered them. And it turned out he was a Muslim volunteer. And he sat there with her, stayed with her for a few hours, chat, with her, and they spent time together. And he said to her, let me ask you, why did you need these candles so much? What was so important about these candles? And it was incredible. And she had said, I went through the Holocaust and I always had to light a candle or light a fire or light a paper or whatever I had to light. And this was the first time in my life that I didn't have access to candles and to lighting something for Shabbat. And so it was just a very powerful and emotional moment. And to see that the person who came to help her was a Muslim man was incredible. Yeah. And that's just what United Hatzalah is. It's bridging people together.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people don't know that about Israel, that it's, Israel's not necessarily filled only with Jews. There's a lot of Christians, Muslims. I think, Israel's parliament is made up of over 25% women, and has, I think, the largest the largest density of Muslim people in a cabinet or parliament. So that is especially in a Jewish state. So it's nice to see that it's a cross faith. It's not a Jewish organization. It's an organization for the people of Israel, which covers all of the spectrum.
It's incredible. It's really bringing people together from all walks of life. And I have a supporter, Adele Sandberg, who's incredible. And she loves to say that Israel and United Hatzalah is the roadmap for world peace. And I thought that was a beautiful way to sort of nail it. We have Muslims saving Jewish lives, Jews saving Muslim lives, and everything in between. And you don't see anything like that, and you definitely won't hear about that in the news. But
no, probably not. But it is a beautiful thing, and you hear about it here in community newspaper.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have various different programs that you're working on. You're the director of development, so you handle a lot of the fundraising, event planning,
right.
Coordination. Especially for everything here, boots on the ground in Miami, or is it outside of Miami?
So I mainly focus on Miami, Florida, but also a bit New York or nationally, and even internationally. We have offices everywhere. We have offices in California, New York. Our headquarters are in New York for the Friends of, and we have in London, all over. So we have events all over the world. We have galas. We have a gala coming up in Miami next month, one in California in February, in New York in May, and then various parlor events. And
I've been. I think my first United Hatzalah event was the gala pre-COVID. At Jungle Island
Miami.
A couple of years ago in Miami.
Right.
And I definitely want to talk about the gala and what you have coming up, because I think you have a very, really interesting lineup of hosts and entertainment acts. We can get to that in just a minute. Before we touch on the gala, I want to talk about I'd heard something about a women's initiative.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's one of my passion projects for the organization. We started a women's initiative. We just had the launch event a couple of weeks ago. It was on Zoom, but we have women now all around the world supporting our female medics in Israel. So we are raising now this year $1.8 million. And what this is really to fund and grow our female medics in Israel. Right now, we have about 1,000 female medics out of the 6,000 volunteers in Israel. And our goal is to increase that and to grow and support our female medics in Israel. So Gitti Beer, Ellie Beer's wife, started a women's unit in Israel. And they go to a lot of, births and different, all emergencies. And they're growing really fast. And it's wonderful to see what they're doing. And so here we've started an initiative to support them and to support the entire women's group in Israel. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. And we're going to have a conference in March, an in-person conference in March, hopefully, depending on COVID and the variants and everything. And we're just excited about
that'll be so in March you'll have a specific conference for the women's initiative.
Yes.
Not the gala, something separate. The gala is going to be
right for all
in December, right?
Exactly.
But this will be next year.
This will be next year for all the supporters who are supporting the women's initiative. And so we have incredible supporters in Dallas, Texas. There's a woman by the name of Amy Cornvase, who's one of our wonderful supporters who helped start this. And then Erica Gerson in New York. She's a board member as well, and she's started this, as well as Adele Sandberg, who I mentioned, and then various other supporters of the organization who are really proud of this initiative that we have that's growing really fast, and it's becoming something wonderful. So we're growing that. We're growing our female medics, and it's just wonderful to see.
It's incredible. I mean, it's incredible. And these are the numbers that, I knew I've already been familiar with United Hatzalah of Israel, but I've not I didn't know that we had 6,000 people working there, and that's really these are astounding numbers. And I think the work you guys are doing is incredible. So I think fundraising is always it's always one of the most, it's the key elements of any organization, right? A dream is just a dream unless you can turn it into reality. And in the world we live in, I think to turn things into a reality, fundraising is the foundation and key element. I know that we have a gala event coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about the gala event? Where's it going to be?
Right.
When? Is there still room for people to get involved?
Absolutely. I'm so happy you asked. I know you were at the first one in Jungle Island, and I hope you'll join us for this one. It's December 19th. It's at the Turnberry. I think it's the JW. It's called, they changed their names, but it's the JW Marriott Turnberry Hotel in Aventura.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be incredible. It will be outdoors, and we will have Ellie Beer will come be here for that, of course. And then we'll have our keynote speaker, Sheryl Sandberg, who everybody knows, the COO of Facebook. And also she's written 2 best-selling books, Lean In and Option B. And she's just incredible. One of my favorite people, I have to say. She's a feminist icon. She's done so much for women in the workplace and diversity and you name it. And so she's going to be speaking. She's a supporter of United Hatzalah. She came to our headquarters. I was there in Israel when she came. She came with her parents, and they are 2 of my favorite people. Her father was actually helpful in saving Ellie's life when he was sick here from COVID, Joel Sandberg, and his wife Adele, who are just the most incredible people you'll meet. And they're being honored, as well as Ari Cement, who's a doctor at Mount Sinai who saved many lives of COVID patients, both in the Jewish community and the non-Jewish community. And he's a wonderful human being. So we'll have the Sandbergs will be honored, and Ari Cement will be honored. And then Sheryl Sandberg will be our keynote speaker.
Amazing.
And she's just one of a kind. So I was saying she came to our headquarters with her parents a few years ago, and she said it was the most impressive part of Israel and Jerusalem that she had seen. The way that, the female medics, the way that it's so diverse, and the ethnicities and the religions that come together just to save a life. And the whole mission of the organization, of Ellie Beer's mission, was very impressive. And if you come to our headquarters, and I invite anyone who comes to Israel to come visit us at our headquarters in Jerusalem, it's the most incredible place. You'll see we have a dispatch center where you can see how we see, within 3 seconds, we see any emergency across the country, and the first 3 closest EMS volunteers respond. And we basically had the Uber technology before Uber existed, which is out of this world.
Yeah, it's a dispatch algorithm for location and time. That's pretty amazing. And so about going back a bit to the gala, so you have Miss Sandberg's going to be a keynote speaker. Tell me, there's some entertainment acts.
So yes, I
heard Gypsy King.
Yes, Gypsy King will be performing, as well as Gad Elbaz, the really singer. He'll be performing. They'll do a set together too. They'll do a few songs together, which would be great to see. So that'll be the performance, and that'll be at 6 p.m. We have a website where I could post the website to get tickets, and we have tickets available. This is 6 p.m. on December 19th.
While we're talking about websites, what is the website if somebody wanted to go to United Hatzalah right now?
Miami, the letters,
United
Miami, MiamiGala.com. So MiamiGala.com, and you can purchase tickets, VIP tickets, and tables.
So you can do a table. You can go in. I think when I went, the year I went in with a group of people to do a table, and I don't remember how many seats, whether it was 8 or 10, and we all chipped in together to get a table, which came with sponsorship and a little bit of advertising. So and it was a great event.
And I remember that you said to me you didn't know a lot about the organization, but after you came to the event and you heard Ellie speak and you saw everything that we do, and I think we had a medic speaking as well, you said you felt really the emotional tug of what United Hatzalah does.
It is. Well, it is very inspiring. And again, time goes by. This is already, pre-COVID was like a lifetime ago, but to see, I didn't remember if I learned that at the time or if it's grown since then, but to understand that there are 6,000 volunteer medics that are not being paid, that spend their days and times going to save lives. That's an incredible. That's really, it's truly incredible. And again, uh, they do it knowing that they're not being paid because they're interested in saving a life. The organization is working to do it to save lives, and that is just simply not something that is free. It costs. It takes. It lives off of the charitable goodwill of other people. And so for me to spend money to go to a gala and enjoy a nice dinner and a live concert, and to hear Sheryl Sandberg speak, it doesn't seem to me like a large expense at all. I think the ROI is incredible, and definitely in terms of the ambu cycles, I'm going to be speaking with a couple of friends to see if we can put together enough money to actually sponsor an entire
Wow.
ambulance cycle between us. So stay
Wow,
tuned
that's
for
amazing.
more details on
That's
that.
amazing. Thank you so much.
I can't yet say that I'll do the whole thing on my own, but maybe if I have to.
I'll make sure to chase you after. But thank you. That's amazing. That is really incredible. And just so you know, for other people who'd like to support the organization, ambucycles are incredible. We have a program called A Day of Life Saving for $18,000 that you get a report, and basically you cover the whole day, 24 hours, and you get a report on everything that you've sponsored in that day, all the activities of the volunteers that have been covered for that day. So, for example, we had someone from Miami called me recently. I won't mention names, but it's a very, very an amazing couple that lives down here in the South Miami. And so they said, I'd like to sponsor a day for our anniversary. It's going to be our anniversary in May 19th, May 18th to 19th. And I'd like to sponsor a day. And so what that means is on their anniversary, they will get a report that says, thank you so much for sponsoring this day. Your day of life saving has covered about, has covered 1,300 or 1,400, sometimes 1,800 emergency calls. And this includes heart attacks, choking, accidents, anything, you name it. And they've basically covered all the costs that it takes for us to be able to respond to all of those emergencies.
Wow.
And so that's incredible. So that's a day of life-saving program. And again, you get a report, so you see what's happening on that day, which is really powerful and really meaningful. And then we have, people who sponsor medics. You can sponsor a medic for $9,600, and then you get updates on their activities and what they're doing. Sponsor defibrillators, oxygen, everything. So, and then there's ambucycle and ambulances and anything in between. So there's something for everyone, but it's just the most meaningful donation I think someone can make.
In saving a life is really, it doesn't get more meaningful than
That's all it is. And it's not, people think Israel and they think this is a Jewish thing. It's not at all. I mean, we have millions of people who visit Israel every year, Christians and Muslims and people from all over the world. And they call United Hatzalah when something happens to them. A supporter from Miami, who's someone incredible as well, whose daughter got sick. She had encephalitis. She was bitten by a mosquito and got a terrible thing. And they were visiting Israel. And she got sick, and our volunteers responded and helped. And her daughter, thank God, her life was saved. They were visiting Israel from Miami. And you have people visiting Israel from all over the world. So it's not just, Israel is an incredible place. People visit from all over, and
my family's in the early stages of discussing our next trip, our first family trip to Israel, which we're hoping to target this summer. So I know that we hope to not need it, but it'll definitely be top of mind should there be an emergency.
Right.
That service is available not just to citizens of Israel, but tourists. Really, if you're in Israel and you need the medical services, that service is available to you regardless of race, religion, gender, age,
Socioeconomic.
ethnicity, and even nationality is what we're saying. So really, like,
Exactly.
without any discrimination whatsoever. Amazing work. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on, or?
I mean, we're excited about the gala. I encourage anyone to check out our website again, uhmiamigala.com. Check out our website. There's an opportunity for everybody to support United Hatzalah, whether that's getting a group together and fundraising together. We have a race every year, a race to save lives. We have our parlor events. We have the galas in different cities all over the world. We have something for everyone. So I encourage anyone. We have the website is israelrescue.org. So you can check out our website. That's israelrescue.org. And there's an opportunity for everyone. So our gala is going to be incredible. We have a great team behind it.
I think that this year's gala does not coincide with some of my unchangeable travel schedules. So I'm terribly sad to be missing it, but I think you'll be Zooming it. So maybe I'll join virtually. But I encourage anybody that hasn't yet been to a United Hatzalah gala. It's a lot of fun. It's a great opportunity to dress up and go out and see people. And there's a lot of very well-known people from Miami that are involved, that are going to be here. And so highly encourage anybody to join and attend, and to check out it's israelrescue.org.
It's israelrescue.org. It's israelrescue.org. I encourage everyone to check it out, to come. And I always say I feel like I have the best job in the world because I get to meet, both the volunteers in Israel that put everything, their life on the line just to respond to emergencies and just to save lives. And they put everything, these are people who have grandkids, who have jobs, who have everything. Even I met a woman last week who's a grandmother who works full time, and she's now doing her certification to get an EMS trained. So she's on top of everything else, going to training course every day just to become a medic and to save lives. So I get to know our volunteers in Israel, and then I get to know our incredible supporters, who are the people who fund United Hatzalah and everything we do so that we can save lives. And so I feel like knowing both of those is the best job.
It's a global community effort, is the way I see that, because you have even the people boots on the ground can't do their job if they don't have the proper medical equipment, if they don't have the ambucycles, if they don't have the apps with the algorithms that get them to that notify them of the emergencies and locations, the logistical coordination that goes behind that, the office spaces, the staff. It's an operation like this is it's mega, and it doesn't, like I said in the beginning, I think that doesn't happen without people's generous support, and so. You do get to wake up every morning and you're saving lives, meeting the people that are saving lives, and meeting the people that are supporting those who can't be there on the ground to do that. So a big hat tip to you, Danielle.
Thank you. Thank
you. Again, I want to
Levi.
thank you for being a guest today on Miami Community Newspaper's show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is an honor.
Danielle David from United Hatzalah, and we look forward to seeing you. If I don't make it to this gala, I will be at the next one.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and hope you check out our website. And thank you, Levi. This has been great.